Why not release the North Korean ministers you've got locked up, Mensheviks?
Yeah, Mensheviks.
The fuck?
Come on, Mensheviks.
Yeah. We're waiting, Mensheviks. You and Mads Mikkelsen over there with your Dutch weird names.
Mads Mikkelsen and the Mensheviks.
I think I saw Mads Mikkelsen and the Mensheviks open for...
Yeah. That's where I was going. Yeah. Mads Mikkelsen and the Mensheviks, that's like George Thorogood and the Destroyers.
The Destroyers actually defected to the PRF.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now it's F and the Destroyers.
Yeah, that's why we need the Mensheviks. Welcome, comrades, to the Art of Cinema. I am your host, Colonel T, Minister of Propaganda of the People's Republic of F.
And I am your glorious leader, General Secretary F. Workers and soldiers, as you fight in the trenches on the front lines of the F Revolution, sing at full voice the patriotic song, "Let Us Insist Upon Equity While Bound for the Front."
That's a great song, sir. Today, we'll discuss the 6th best film on our list of the top 10 films of the 2000's Casino Royale.
I'll allow it, Colonel.
Thank you, sir. Now, this is Daniel Craig's first appearance as James Bond, and he's different than the ones who came before. We see the Jason Bourne influence on the character here. What would it be like if a person really had this job, did these things? James Bond had always been something of a parody before this.
Tongue-in-cheek. That's right, Colonel.
Especially when Roger Moore played him, but even with the others. But with Daniel Craig, he becomes a tortured character.
You know, in the PRF, we don't torture our characters. We just send them to the Arctic labor camps.
For compulsory re-education, yes, sir.
Well, yeah, of course.
Daniel Craig is built like a wide receiver and looks like someone who could actually pull off the athletic stunts and fights he gets to do here. But he's not as good in the tuxedo as other Bonds, especially Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan.
Huh. If James Bond can't pull off the tuxedo, that's like if I couldn't make it work with these green army fatigues and all these medals.
At the start, we see a short scene that shows us Daniel Craig's first 2 kills as a British secret agent. He has to have these 2 assassinations on his record to qualify to become 007 and have his license to kill, you see. So Daniel Craig kills a corrupt senior British intelligence agent in Prague who's been selling off classified information together with his contact.
You have to have 2 kills to be a 00 agent.
Right.
I see. That's kind of like how you need to have 2 million to be a glorious leader, not unlike myself. 200,000, you can be a Fidel Castro type, but you don't make the major leagues of the revolution until you've cut down 2 million of your own people.
Then we go to Uganda, where an African terrorist meets with Jesper Christensen. Jesper Christensen introduces the African terrorist to Mads Mikkelsen, an Albanian private banker. Mads Mikkelsen offers to deposit the terrorist's funds in a secret bank account at no risk, making them available to him anywhere in the world. But Mads Mikkelsen is secretly planning to play a very risky game with the money the African terrorist gives him to deposit. Mads Mikkelsen is a mathematical genius, so he's going to use the terrorists' money to play the stock market. Mads Mikkelsen thinks he's too smart to fail.
Why do all these Ugandans have Dutch names?
Daniel Craig is in Madagascar, hunting down another terrorist who's an explosives expert. Daniel Craig ends up chasing the bomb maker down on foot. But besides being a bomb maker, the terrorist also does parkour, which is a sort of extreme sport where you climb up walls and jump off buildings. This would allow the bomb maker to outrun most other secret agents, but fortunately for Daniel Craig, he can sort of improvise the parkour. So there's a great scene of Daniel Craig chasing the bomb maker up and over a construction site. But the bomb maker makes it to an embassy, so Daniel Craig has to blow up the embassy and shoot the guy to get the information he has. It turns out the bomb maker is involved in some sort of plot called Ellipsis.
It's exactly as I've consistently taught, Colonel. At first glance, speculation is indistinguishable from other free market transactions. But let's look closer. You're really buying the rights to interest on equity, not a commodity. The devious capitalists seek to convert this commodity into cash. He sells it off before any profits have been made at all. But when his capitalist competitors take on the sale of these assets, they'll receive a portion of the profit from the industrialists in question. Oh, these old corrupt capitalists, Colonel.
Right.
But when young people are astir, the whole country becomes astir, and a revolutionary upsurge is brought about on all fronts of building a thriving Marxist-Leninist F-ist country.
Judi Dench plays M, and Judi Dench is very upset with Daniel Craig for blowing up an embassy and creating an international incident for the British government. Daniel Craig breaks into Judi Dench's home and steals some information from her computer, but not before getting dressed down by her for being reckless. Maybe Judi Dench made a mistake for making Daniel Craig a 00 agent, but Daniel Craig says that given the life expectancy of 00 agents, her mistake ought to be short-lived.
Right, like the life expectancy of workers who are being re-educated in our Arctic labor camps.
In the information he gets from Judi Dench's computer, Daniel Craig realizes he needs to go to the Bahamas to keep looking into the ellipsis plot. It turns out that Mads Mikkelsen isn't just planning to use his mathematical genius to play the African terrorists' money on the stock market. An airline based in Miami is launching a new plane. It's the largest airliner in the world, and Mads Mikkelsen has hired the bomb maker that Daniel Craig killed in Madagascar to blow the plane up on its first flight. This would cause the airline's stock to plummet, so Mads Mikkelsen has bet against it using the African terrorists' money. But Daniel Craig gets wise to this plan, so he goes to Miami and stops the replacement bomber Mads Mikkelsen has hired from blowing up the new jumbo jet. So Mads Mikkelsen loses over $100 million after Daniel Craig foils his plan to sabotage the airline and bet against its stock. He no longer has enough money to allow the African terrorist to withdraw his money, so Mads Mikkelsen is in real trouble. He needs to raise $100 million. To do this, Mads Mikkelsen holds a high-stakes poker tournament at the Casino Royale in Montenegro. Fortunately for our story, in addition to being able to beat professional parkour athletes in foot races, Daniel Craig is also the best poker player in British intelligence. So Judi Dench decides to place him in the poker tournament. The plan is for Daniel Craig to beat Mads Mikkelsen, at which point Mads Mikkelsen will have no way to pay back the African terrorists and will have no choice but to seek asylum with the British government in exchange for the information he has against enemies of the state.
Ha! Asylum, right. You know, Mads Mikkelsen and the bomber here remind me of the Mensheviks. The Mensheviks don't even try to protect F-ist ideologues when they control the machinery of the state. The Mensheviks might as well just be counter-revolutionary agents working to exploit the proletariat. Why not release the North Korean ministers you've got locked up, Mensheviks?
So there's a long act of the film in which Daniel Craig takes on Mads Mikkelsen at the poker tournament. Mads Mikkelsen poisons Daniel Craig's Vesper Martini, but fortunately, British intelligence put a poisoned martini recovery device in the glove compartment of Daniel Craig's car, so he's able to keep on playing poker even so.
You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but I invented the poisoned martini recovery device.
It's odd, sir, because in the utopian F-ist economy, we don't have patents or other private property.
Well, no, you just take my word for it, and there are consequences if you don't.
Certainly, sir.
We don't keep them in the glove compartment because at the PRF we have no need of gloves. Our hands are calloused from being workers.
The African terrorists show up at the hotel trying to get their money back from Mads Mikkelsen, but luckily for Mads Mikkelsen, Daniel Craig kills the African terrorists. But after these and more hijinks, Daniel Craig beats Mads Mikkelsen, and it looks like Daniel Craig's work there at Casino Royale is complete.
Excellent. It's like when I depose Menshevik pamphleteers who have falsely interpreted F-ist doctrine.
But Mads Mikkelsen has an ace up his sleeve.
What?
The Bond girl in Casino Royale is Eva Green. She's an accountant for British intelligence, and she's there at the poker tournament posing as Daniel Craig's wife and supplying the money he needs to play in the tournament. So after Mads Mikkelsen loses, he kidnaps Eva Green, and Daniel Craig goes after her. But it's a trap.
Oh no!
Mads Mikkelsen captures Daniel Craig and tortures him, trying to get him to hand over the money. But Jesper Christensen arrives and kills Mads Mikkelsen and lets Daniel Craig and Eva Green escape. Jesper Christensen, as you'll recall, was the mysterious character who introduced the African terrorists to Mads Mikkelsen at the start of the film.
I'll recall that.
All of the world's most beautiful women want to go to bed with Daniel Craig as soon as they meet him, and he's known Eva Green for maybe 3 or 4 days at this point. And yet, as Daniel Craig is recovering from the torture, he decides he wants to stop being a spy so he can marry Eva Green instead. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever.
Women, you know? Jeez.
Daniel Craig and Eva Green take a romantic trip to Venice together, but then Daniel Craig realizes that Eva Green has absconded with his poker winnings to give them back to Jesper Christensen.
Yeah, don't trust a woman named Ava.
Eva Green is a double agent, sir. So there's another big action scene with Daniel Craig trying to get the money back, but Jesper Christensen gets away with his poker winnings and Eva Green drowns. It turns out that Mads Mikkelsen's organization threatened to kill Eva Green's lover if she didn't agree to be a double agent for them. But she really did fall for Daniel Craig and agreed to hand over the poker winnings to Jesper Christensen in exchange for him sparing Daniel Craig's life. So in the last scene of the film, Daniel Craig hunts down Jesper Christensen and shoots him in the leg, then stands over him and delivers the famous line,
"Let us insist upon equity while bound for the front."
No, in fact, Daniel Craig's line here is, "The name's Bond. James Bond."
Oh, because when I watched it, it said, "Let us insist upon equity while bound for the front." I guess I got an advanced screener. I don't know, maybe.
Casino Royale is a great movie, not just a great James Bond movie. Unfortunately, it was the only one of Daniel Craig's Bond films that really worked. These movies change the James Bond character too much.
They deviate from the archetype.
Exactly. James Bond is a caricature. He's a comic book character. He doesn't fall in love with anyone. He doesn't suffer psychological trauma from the violent life he leads. All he does is to wear tuxedos, travel to the world's great cities hunting down evil geniuses, offer quips and jokes after he kills the bad guys, and bed the most beautiful women he meets. It isn't complicated, and you don't psychoanalyze him. So the character still basically works in Casino Royale, but after that they keep trying to make Jason Bourne out of him. The movies feel more like episodes of that Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes series than they do like James Bond movies. Even so, they got it almost exactly right with Casino Royale.
That's why it comes in ahead of American Gangster at number 6 on our list of the top 10 movies of the 2000s. Our workers and soldiers have to be careful about spies like Daniel Craig, Colonel. The spies are here to steal information, to confuse our teaching, to collapse our bridges. The spies organize counter-revolutionary insurgencies in our hinterlands and even try to assassinate F-ist bureaucrats and the leaders of our workers and soldiers collectives. So if you see Daniel Craig or anyone else you suspect, report these spies to your section liaison. Dogmatically orthodox workers and soldiers must defend F-ist power with their very lives. We must fight the spies, Colonel. Let us all be vigilant. Let us all report the activities of our neighbors to the relevant party committees and to trusted and experienced comrades amongst PRF officials.
Workers and Soldiers of the People's Republic of F, Casino Royale is number 6 on our list of the 10 best movies of the 2000s. This has been The Art of Cinema with our glorious leader, General Secretary F. Let us maintain vigilance against the ever-looming threat of an American invasion. You are required to report any non-participation or dissent amongst your comrades. Don't forget to tune into The Art of Cinema again next time to discover which film ranks at number 5 on our list in your next mandatory re-education session.